how are you? Hopefully everything's going well. I thought I'd do a video for the lesson as we're diving more into geometry, and we've got some new concepts we're going to be looking at. So on page 72 of your ISN, please write this objective. So our objective today is I can identify what we call adjacent and vertical angles. So we started talking about angles in yesterday's lesson on the slideshow. Just remembering some basic vocabulary and the idea of obtuse, acute angles, right angles, straight angles. If you need a refresher on that, go ahead and watch that slide again. But right now we're going to start identifying types of angles when lines and rays come into contact with one another. So adjacent and vertical is what we're going to be looking at today. Oh, do you guys hear that? Oh my goodness. Let's see, what type of bird is that? I believe that is a western scrub jay. Logan, did you see that western scrub jay just come by? That was awesome. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of bird watching and identifying in our backyard. And that's just really kept me busy and entertained, and I don't know, it's just fun to come up with new hobbies and during this time. But yeah, anyway, back to the lesson. Sorry, that was pretty awesome. Okay, so we've got some key words here. So we're gonna do keywords just like we used to do with our ISN pages before. We'll write the keywords here, and then on this side we'll put the definition. So we're gonna go ahead and draw a line about till halfway down your paper. So we've got adjacent angles. Adjacent angles. Okay, so adjacent angles. Those are two angles that share a common side. Two angles that share a common side and have the same vertex. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and draw what that means. So remembering the word vertex is when two rays come together and form a point, so like a corner. So we're gonna go ahead and if you notice today I'm using a ruler, so if you could even pause the video and grab a ruler, that would help. If not, that's fine as well. So just do your best to draw a straight line. Like so, and then we're gonna draw one, and it's not important necessarily the angle exactly at this time, about 45 degrees crossing that line. So that's kind of your goal right now, and getting that on your paper to show what adjacent angles are. So we'll call this angle 1, this angle 2, and this angle 3, and this angle 4. Now again, when talking about adjacent angles, we see that it's two angles that share a common side, so the same side, and have the same vertex. So if we look here, we can see that angles 1 and angle 2 share a side. So let's go ahead and highlight that side that they share. So they both share that side, and then they also have the same vertex. So let's see here. So their vertex right there. So let's kind of highlight those two angles to see. And maybe we'll use even a different color for that. So that angle and that angle right there. So we've got angles 1 and angle 2. They share the same side and they have the same vertex. So we're gonna go ahead and write that down. Angles 1 and 2 are adjacent. So angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent. Angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent. So let's talk really quickly about two angles that maybe are not adjacent. So if we look here at, for example, angles 2 and angles 4, those are not adjacent. They're actually opposite one another. They don't have a common side. Angle 4 has those two sides and angle 2 has those two sides. So they don't have a common side, and even though they do share a vertex. So yeah, that's pretty much all about adjacent angles. So we're gonna go ahead and now talk about vertical angles. I'm gonna extend my line here. I'm trying to save space at the bottom of the page. If we end up running out of space, we'll just go ahead and go to the other page, and that's fine. So vertical angles. Okay, so vertical angles are two opposite angles formed by the intersection of two lines. Oh goodness! Do you guys hear that? Awesome, that's a house sparrow. We actually have had a pair of house sparrows, male, female, coming to visit our home quite regularly. In fact, they kind of overran the home of another bird. That's their other call. This is so cool. Yes, I'm so glad you guys are getting to meet the birds I've been getting to know. This is great. Logan, do you see them? Logan's got the binocs, so that's pretty awesome. He's really getting a show right now. All right, so back to the lesson. Vertical angles, two opposite angles formed by the intersection of two lines. An important note about vertical angles is they are congruent. They are congruent. Now, what does congruent mean? That is a big word in math, and it just means the same. They have the same degree measurement. So let's take a look at a picture that will help us understand vertical angles. So yeah, I guess our line is just going to extend all the way to the bottom of the page, and that's fine. We will use the next page for our notes as well. So we're going to make just kind of a giant X as best we can with our ruler here. We're going to take a look at, let's go ahead and name this angle 1, and this one 2, and this one 3, and this one 4. And let's see, our definition of vertical angles again, two opposite angles. Opposite, we talked about that just a second ago. So opposites here are the angles that are opposite one another, so like 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. So let's see, let's continue reading the definition, see if those fulfill everything of vertical angles. So two opposite angles formed by the intersection of two lines. Yes, that's a line, that's a line. Awesome. So then they're congruent. So let's use some colors to show what that means when we say congruent. So in math, they like to use this symbol to show that two angles are congruent. So we see 1 and 3 are congruent, and then here, if we've already stated that those two are congruent, a way to state that these two are congruent but not congruent to those is we'll put a double line. So we'll say here that 2 and 4 are congruent with the double line. 1 and 3 are congruent with that line. And that brings me to remember the picture that we did above here. Now, I know I use that same symbol, but here I was just talking about two different angles. These obviously are not congruent. This one's more than 90 degrees, this one's less than 90 degrees. So the way that we can show that is put a single line on angle 2 and a double line on angle 1. So that is a way to show that yes, these are both angles, but they do not have the same degree measurement. But just know that that single line drawn on two angles means that they're the same degree measurement. And then to show that these are also the same degree measurement, it would be a double line. A double line like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and list which angles are congruent. So here we go. Like we said, angles 1 and angle 3. So they're congruent. So in other words, they are vertical angles. Are vertical angles, and we are getting short on room. But then we can also state, and we'll just do it over here, that angle 2 and 4, angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical as well. So the other sign I didn't really point out, but hopefully you're just kind of accepting, is this looks like a less than sign, but we use that as an angle sign in math as well. And the difference is it actually touches where the bottom of the number touches, whereas the less than sign is usually a little bit higher than the number. So yeah, but that is our angle sign indicating angle, whichever angle that we're wanting to indicate. Just tells us that we're talking about an angle. Okay, so now on page, so that was all on page 72. Let's go ahead and on page 71, continue our notes. We have one more image to draw, so we can just start getting used to some of these ideas. So this is an example problem that you guys might get. Here, let's scoot over this way and just draw a line down, and then we'll draw a line across like so. And then we're just gonna draw a ray sticking out from that point, just like that. So now we've got this shape, and you can rewind that, or not rewind, but pause and back it up and take a look at it to try and get that drawn. But there's a vertex in the middle. There's a vertex up here, down here, right here, right here, right here. And we're gonna draw our arrows to show that these lines extend. There we go. And now we're gonna go ahead and call that A, that point A. We're gonna call that point B, or vertex B, and that's point C, point D, point E, and point F. So now the question, or the challenge we're going to try and meet, is name a pair of adjacent angles. Name a pair of adjacent angles. Now there's a number of adjacent angles here, but let's just remember back to what an adjacent angle is. Two angles that share a common side and have the same vertex. So that's pretty much our common vertex for any going on here. So let's take a look at what we're going to call angle ABC. So that's another idea I kind of want to introduce to you guys, is that when you're going to name an angle and you have 3 points that create that angle, then that angle is called whatever those 3 points are, angle ABC. So I see that angle ABC, and let's take a look at this, angle CBD, both of those angles share this line right here. They have that common line. So there's that common line. And again, they also share that common vertex. So we've got ABC and CBD. Those two angles are adjacent. So we're gonna go ahead and write angles A, B, C, and angle C, B, D are adjacent. Okay, so then next we're going to answer the question, name a pair of vertical angles. Name a pair of vertical angles. So, remembering back to what vertical angles are, they're two opposite angles formed by the intersection of two lines. So we have quite a number of vertical angles here. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at this one here and this one here, remembering that that line indicates that these two angles are the same, or they have the same degree measurement. So we've got ABF and then we've got DBC. So angle ABF and angle DBC are vertical. So hopefully with these examples in your ISN, you can move forward and do some of the problems and kind of just get a better understanding of what adjacent and vertical angles are. Logan and I here, we're gonna keep preparing lessons for you. We're gonna keep looking at your work, giving feedback, and watching birds. Okay, have a good one.